Do you feel the need to be constantly productive? As if there's this idea that if you're not doing something productive and useful, that you're wasting time. Because they told us that time is the most precious resource that we have. The idea that we must always be hustling, grinding, and using every single minute of our lives to do something cool and productive so that one day we can look back and say, hey, I did that. I did this. I accomplished X. It leaves us in a position where we might say to ourselves that we're wasting our lives, that when we're having a little moment of rest, that we feel uneasy and we feel as if we should be doing more. I struggled with this feeling for many, many years, and I'm not sure if it was the society that I lived in, being New York City, or the constant hustle and bustle of being in a great metropolitan area where people were always striving for more. And I think that when people constantly struggle and strive and continue to make something out of themselves, it sort of affects the people around them. When you see all your friends, your family are all saying the same thing, and you see on movies, on society, on media that you have to be hustling, you have to be grinding, it makes you feel as if you're doing something completely wrong. And I struggled with that feeling, and it made me make poor decisions. In the US, we have this motto of more is better, bigger is better. We see it on TV, we see it in our media, and it's generally what our friends and family say to us as well. That we must always be striving for the next thing. We must always be chasing the next goalpost. That we always have to strive for something in the near-term future. And although that is perfectly okay for some people, I think it leaves many of us in a position where we feel as if right now, who I am as a person and what I'm doing right now isn't enough. I am not enough. We feel it in our everyday lives where it's sort of in the background, whether or not it is subconscious. It gives us this feeling of unease, and I really didn't start to unravel this feeling until I started traveling a little bit more, especially outside of the United States. And God bless the United States, a country where has given me a lot of opportunities. But what I saw when I traveled throughout South America and Asia and Europe was that there was so many opportunities and people that were really living their lives, that were really enjoying the present moment, spending time with their friends and family, sharing a meal together, and not so worried and bound by this, by the time, by the clock, and to worry not so much about work and productivity and the constant need for hustling to make more money, but rather, what do my friends think if I'm working so hard? Maybe I need to be spending a little bit more time with my parents who are aging, who are not going to be around forever, and to really spend time with those that you really want to spend time with, and not what society expects you to. And so in the US and in New York, I often found myself going to networking events, the time that is meant to be spent relaxing and maybe doing different projects. I spent networking, the need to always constantly better myself. I found myself reading self-help books. I found myself going down deep rabbit holes trying to learn the latest skill so I could be a bit better at my current job. One day I found myself in the rural side in Colombia on a farm, spending some time with a friend, and I started asking him questions of how did he live this type of lifestyle, being an American and all, and really trying to dig in and see how exactly he did that, because I want his life to be able to spend your time so carefree, not having to worry about things that are not so important in the grand scheme of things, and to really focus on what's right here in front of him right now. Spending time with me, spending time with the animals on the farm, being one with nature, and generally working on things and projects that he is so interested in. And some of it is rooted in being strong with a foundation in personal finances. But the other thing is really a change in mindset, what you have up here. And that is a very difficult and a different endeavor to pursue. One that is not often talked about, and one we often neglect and we kind of sort of push down and say, well, one day I'll think about that. Right now I'm too busy. I'm too busy to care about my own life. I'm too busy to care about my future. The future, Warren, is this neglect of self, and in a way, it's being detrimental to your own life and going against a lot of our own values to say no to ourselves, because it's something that you feel at the back of your mind and the back of your body and your soul to say, hey, I want something more. I want to break free of this cage, this perpetual need to grind, to hustle, to be productive. So what's the solution? I'm glad you asked that. I'm curious of what you guys think. How do we unplug ourselves from the need to be constantly productive? Please leave a comment in the section below. I would love to hear from you guys. At the end of our lives, we should be asking ourselves, what do I actually want to accomplish? What are the things that I want to be known for? Do I really want to be one of the most rich and successful business person in the world, one of status? Or do I want to be known as a loving father, a loving friend, someone who gave back to the world? And these are some of the struggles and the questions that I started asking myself when I reached my second mountain. When I reached my 30s, I started asking myself, after an entire decade of grinding away, whether that was my career in the military or my corporate career, I started asking myself these tough questions, and frankly, I didn't have a lot of answers. And I'm still working through what I imagine for my future self and my current self, because it takes courage to really live the life that you want, not bound by the expectations of others, but to stay true to your path, whatever it may be. And I'm not saying you're gonna have the perfect answer, but it takes and is a journey of self-discovery, a journey of trial and error, so that you can say, maybe this life of productivity isn't for me, and that I should work towards something else. That is the message that I want to leave with you guys today. Take a look at what you truly want in your life. Maybe perhaps take a small bet on yourself. Maybe a life of productivity and the constant need for hustle, and using your time wisely isn't so much the life for you. Discover different types of lifestyles that might be more suited for your life. What do you guys think? Please leave a like and a comment below. I would love to hear from you guys. And as always, make sure to check out this next video right here if you enjoyed this one.